How do everybody? I've got another very interesting story here. This one is from the Daily Mail. Now, I have read this story already, not this exact story. I've read it in another paper, but I've decided to do the story because the Mail were the ones I believe who did break the original story. This is one that's got me really conflicted on how I feel about it. And I'll discuss that later as we read through the story. But basically, in a part of London called Tower Hamlets, a very cosmopolitan part of London. I believe it's MP Diane Abbott's constituency as well. There's a Sainsburys there, and basically somebody's been caught shoplifting, and the staff have gone quite mob-handed on them. So let's get on with the story anyway. So, headline is: Moment Sainsbury's staff in London drag suspected shoplifter on the floor as he screams "Allahu Akbar" before beating him up in the storeroom as stunned customers filmed the drama. There is video footage to this as well. I'm not going to share it on the channel because I think YouTube would put me on the naughty step for that. So, but it's in. I'll link the article in the description. So if you want to go watch that video yourself or whatever, that's up to you. So this is the shocking moment. A suspected shoplifter is dragged into the storeroom at a Sainsbury's in East London before staff appear to give him a kick in behind closed doors. Now, if I remember rightly from watching the video, I think you can see him being kicked before he gets taken in there, or being very roughly handled as well. It is bad. However, it's not like, say, you see somebody in the street getting kicked by, nearly to death by a gang, So I do want to put it into a bit of context like that. It's not like they're like giving him a soccer stroke football penalty kick style boots, or like somebody in a game of rugby taking a kick to convert the point, so to speak. So it's not good. I'm really not trying to make excuses for it. I'm really not trying to justify it, but it's not the worst idea that you've got in your head either. So just to give it a bit of balance there. Shock shoplifters captured the scene of a local supermarket on Mile End Road in Tower Hamlets at the weekend after angry staff yell at the man to stay the F down while yelling Allahu Akbar, God is greatest. I believe it's also a way of apologising, and I think also greeting as well. It's got various interpretations of how the word can be used. One member of staff says to take him inside, and the man, who appears to be agitated and in distress, is dragged by the collar of his jacket into the storeroom at the back of the floor. Yeah, and I think they're actually just like dragging him across the floor as well. It's not very nice. It really, really isn't the way they've treated him. Now, I mean, with me, anybody who's quite a regular to my channel, or anything like that, you'll know that I do have quite strong opinions on things like self-defense. The right to self-determination. Being able to fight. I actually think people should have the right to settle disputes via mutual combat. I genuinely believe that. Although I don't just think it should be able to have like a free-for-all in the street. It should be obviously properly controlled and done in a proper environment. And even people coming into your home, if somebody breaks into your home, I do believe that you should have the right to, firstly, own a firearm, and secondly, if they're there uninvited and refuse to leave, shoot them. I fully believe in that, and I think the line on that should be very clear. If you're told to leave somebody's home and you refuse to leave, they can shoot you, and it's that simple. I do believe. Just remove all ambiguity from it. The onus then becomes on the person trespassing. If you don't remove yourself, you're responsible for what happens to you, not the person who's asking you to leave. Now, the trouble is though, and this is where it comes to with businesses, I would support something like that. We say somebody's got a shop, because I do believe that when people are stealing, they're not just stealing. So if somebody steals your car or your TV or your PlayStation or whatever, or your watch, whatever's valuable to you, they're not just stealing an item of you. You've had to give up a part of your life, your time, to be able to purchase that item. So they're in effect stealing a part of your life, and that you can never get that back, that time. You can never ever get your time back. So they've stolen all that effort and work that you've given up from your life to achieve that part of your life. So they're, in my personal view, they are a type of assault against you. Now, if you've got somebody with a small business, I don't know, a little off license or something, or whatever you call it in America, a shop that you sell alcohol basically and cigarettes, that person may have given up a lot of their time and effort in order to be able to buy that shop and run that shop and stock that shop, and then they're giving up a lot of time to keep it running and managing it and working it and treating it as like a part of the family almost. It's a lot of effort. And so for somebody to come in and steal things from there, that could ruin their lives. But these massive stores like Sainsburys obviously are not the same. But I don't know how you could tailor the law to cover small businesses but not larger ones. And the problem I would have is, And I'm not saying even larger shops shouldn't be allowed to do this, because at the end of the day, the people that work there, they rely on the work. And if you've got rampant theft like is currently happening, and I do believe that what may have happened here is it's rampant theft, and the staff are just getting peed off with because the police are never turning up. Again, I'm not trying to justify what they've done. So it could be this could be the straw that's broken the camel's back of the staff. There may be history with this man. There may not be though. Who knows? I'm just guessing. But you could end up with these large superstores. These are we're talking like £1 billion businesses here. These are not small joke businesses. They could end up abusing the legal system and hiring staff with specialist legal training and specialist lawyers, where they could end up abusing members of the public. So I'm very, very conflicted with my own personal views on how this should be dealt with in regards to that. But first and foremost, as the law stands, it is illegal what they've done. I'm not even a legal expert, but I will say absolutely cut and dry that what they've done is illegal. I think it's absolutely. I think as what the law refers to as the average person on the Clapham omnibus, which I believe I am. I'm just the average everyday man. I go to work, pay my taxes, got kids. I've not been to prison. All that other stuff that you would consider to be the average normal person. As that person looking at this, to me, that is clear cut. They've broken the law. The question I'm asking is, should that be against the law, what they've done? I don't know in the case of this. I really don't. As I say, I think if you've got a small business and somebody's trying to rob your store or they're harassing your staff, I think you should be able to manhandle people. I really do. I believe the person who's causing the trouble is then responsible for the actions against them. And you could say, well, maybe they're performing a citizen's arrest. Well, I'm not a legal expert, but my understanding of citizen's arrest is first and foremost, you better be goddamn sure of what you're doing is right, because you will get the book thrown at you if you've unduly done a citizen arrest on somebody who hasn't committed a crime. So you have to absolutely make sure that person is committing a crime, be 110% certain. Now again, that's not legal advice, that's just my understanding of the law. I'm not an expert on it. I've only done a very small surface level reading of citizen's arrest. I've not done any sort of deep research into it. I've not spoken to experts about it to try and dissect a relevant interpretation of what the meaning of the words are for it. So please do not take that as advice. That's just my understanding. But crazy, absolutely crazy. One shocked eyewitness who captured the violent incident on Saturday evening told Mail Online they did not feel the level of force they used by Sainsburys staff was necessary. Well, that again, this is the average person on the Clapham omnibus saying that. This is another person who's witnessed it as well, so they will have a much better context than what I'm getting from this. And if I'm getting that feeling from just looking at these pictures, which you can look, I don't want to share them online because I do feel they may be distressing for some people. But these have actually been there, and to watch something on a screen and to actually be there in the event are not the same at all. They are absolute. You get an energy when you're in an event. It's probably coming from your own chemical balance changing in your body, through stress and stuff like that happening while you're viewing it. But to be a witness to these sorts of events and to actually hear the sounds in front of you and feel the energy from other people around you, it's very, very different. Very, very different. And if we're both in agreement, me and this witness, that this was unnecessary. So it more than likely is that it was unnecessary. And I think these people are going to get in a lot of trouble. The shoplifter was quite unclean, but he wasn't violent to the shop workers. Well, that is a thing as well. If somebody's not violent, you can't use force against them. You've got to use in the UK what's called, again, this isn't legal advice, but it's what's called reasonable force. And the basic understanding of that is if somebody's shouting at you, you can shout back. If somebody's pushing you, you can push back and maybe block, just sort of do a little hand block to stop the hands. If somebody's trying to punch you, then you can then punch back. But if a person turns their back on you and starts walking away, you can't really start following up and start punching them in the back of the head. Now, there may be legal reasons where you could get around that. There could be reasonable justifications where you may be able to word it and say, but I think what he was doing was he was reaching for a knife, or he was trying to get himself to a better position to turn around and attack me back. There could be nuances to that, but I'm keeping it just very basic, very cut and dried. If they just stop, hands in the pockets, head down, start walking off. You can't start, so that would be unreasonable. Again, that is not legal advice. That absolutely is not legal advice. Please do not use that as legal advice. He was committing a crime, but did not deserve to be punched and kicked repeatedly whilst on the floor. He could easily have simply been restrained and detained. Well, I don't even think they can do that. I'm not sure they can even do that under British law. I suspect they stopped once they saw me recording. My worry was that the shoplifter was detained for such a long time that he would continue to have been abused. Without my recording, I suspect no one would have believed what had happened, especially from the shoplifter. The footage, yeah, that is very true, that actually. Especially if this guy's like a scruffy person who lives on the street or has got mental health problems, nobody would believe him. The footage sent to Mail Online by the witness begins as staff are seen running towards the entrance of the shop as they call out for an alleged thief. He's then seen lying on the floor of the supermarket as he's surrounded by the staff. A man angrily yells at him to stay down and stay the F down. That is going to really go against him in court as well, that, in my opinion, because that is an escalation of force. And I believe using swear words, not necessarily shouting, that I believe that can go against you, but I believe using swear words can be seen as an escalation and being provocative, I think. Again, as it's viewed by average people, if somebody's screaming at you in the street and they're swearing, that is probably somebody who's getting angry and agitated. So again, that could be quite important evidence. Again, that's just my understanding, my own. Obviously, I'm not a professional, so read into that what you will yourself. The suspect shoplifter yells out "Allahu Akbar," an Arabic phrase meaning God is greatest, which can be said at times of extreme joy or distress. It can. It's got multiple uses. Sainsburys staff then drag him to the storeroom by his jacket. I mean, I think that's illegal as well. Struggling to get him over the threshold and behind the swing door. One member of staff looks directly at the shocked bystander. He attempts to force the man into the storeroom. And I tell you what, now Sainsburys are going to be dropping these people like a hot turd. They're going to be like, "Whoa, you guys are gone, all of you." They are really going to try and distance themselves from this very, very quickly because they're going to want to put this fire out straight away. Through the window in the door, staff can be heard appearing to stomp on and kick the man as he repeatedly wails "Allahu Akbar." One of the staff yells as he delivers a kick to the shoplifter, what appears to utter "I'm sorry" in response. Why do it then? I mean, that's even worse. I'll tell you what now, I don't care what my employer says to me, I'm not doing anything like that whatsoever. It just ain't worth, never mind the police stuff around it, not worth losing your job over. I mean, why do that? Why do that? I mean, to be honest with you, that makes it sound quite, I wouldn't do that anyway because it's just the wrong thing to do. But just to put it into like a rational, easy to understand thing, he knows what he's doing's wrong. By saying "I'm sorry," he knows what he's doing there is wrong, but he's still going along with it. That is really bad. That is moral cowardice right there. And I think that's a great example of what's wrong with society today. But on the other side, like I said before as well, we're seeing mass shoplifting out of control at the moment. I'm probably going to leave this here. I mean, there's quite a bit of the story left, but that's the main to read the rest of it yourself, obviously. But we are seeing crime getting out of control. The police aren't turning up to shoplifting events. They're not turning up to burglaries. They're not turning up to, muggings and things like that. There's multiple reasons for that, and I don't want to get into that here. But I think this is a sign of society breaking down. And we're now starting to see vigilante justice happening. And I have warned about that in previous videos as well, that we'll start seeing things like this happening. And it's quite sad to say that this is proved, like I've been saying about going to war with Russia. This is, to me, the logical consequence of where we are heading. And you only need to read history books and look at history when similar things have happened. But this is the end result. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I have waffled on quite a bit. I know I said I was going to read the story, and really I've spent more time talking about what I think rather than reading you the news. But as I say, I'll put the link below. Please do read the rest of your story, the whole story. Please do make your own mind up. Don't just listen to me, because I could be wrong. And I'm more than happy to say that. If you have found that interesting, insightful, or useful, please do like and subscribe. Definitely put comments below. I love reading your comments and I love replying to you, even if you don't agree with me. Because I'm not a closed book, and I'm more than happy to change my mind if you put a strong enough argument down there. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Please do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for your time, and goodbye.